Good afternoon, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And I just watched a short video detailing an experiment with these gentlemen who tried to see what kind of bandwidth they could get using an old, obsolete protocol that was designed to multiplex modems. If you're familiar with old school modems over dial-up, they wanted to just, as a whim, see what kind of bandwidth they could get through a series of, parallel modems, apparently. Anyway, I'll link that video in the description. This is more about the casual, nonchalant dropping of a couple of things without qualification, such as trackers and Napster, which, if you're familiar with those things, you know that they should probably rightly be in a separate class of content. God bless the dude who just dropped them in at like they're the same thing as ordinary web content. They're not actually, and I want to go over a couple of differences. Trackers, first of all, if you're not familiar, are torrent trackers usually. There's different types of trackers, but they're mainly, if we're being honest, a workaround from centralized direct downloads. They allow you to work around the protocols designed to prevent software piracy, or which have been used for that in the past. Point-to-point file sharing can be used legitimately. I want to mention that it can possibly, obviously, be used to transmit ordinary open source or public domain content, but its historical purpose has been largely to download pirated software, pirated movies and music, and to a very large extent, it only still exists for that purpose. So with that in mind, there's nothing inherently criminal about the protocol. It's just it happens to exist as a workaround to conventional security and copyright protection. So then he mentioned Napster like it was no big deal. Napster was closed down because of the same principles. They were famously charged with something about copyright infringement. They were instrumental in distributing or helping to distribute copyrighted material, and were legally closed as a business and forced to abandon their software. And it was kind of a landmark news case, actually. It was an example, a precedent that decided in a big way what direction the landscape of the internet was going to go to in the future. So, not to digress too far down that road, but these are separate classes of content where the effect and the intended use define the quality of the thing, just like anything. And I want to connect this to a recurring theme in my videos, where a definition doesn't so much hinge on the snapshot of it or the symbol of it, but the intended use and the actual outcome every single time. The thing in the middle, the symbol, the description, has no relevance whatsoever. What you're doing makes no difference outside of how you're doing it, why you're doing it, and the effect that it has. Namely, whether or not it affects other people negatively or harmfully. If it damages their property or their person, then it becomes a problem. Not before. and it has to be non-consensual, obviously. So there's a contingency, but it's just funny when people group these things together. And I understand and appreciate this person's wish to get back to the old school internet. There's a lot of people have that wish, the way things used to be back in the Wild West in the 90s and early 2000s, I guess, when information flowed a lot more freely. And that part absolutely is better. However, there is the concern. I just want to wrap up this video, just over 4 minutes. The concern about intellectual property. It's not going to be a deep dive into the idea, but you can understand that if somebody puts work into anything really, if it's music or a movie or software, if a company or a person, individual, puts actual work into it, they're entitled to compensation for that work if they expect it. If those are the terms of their releasing it, it's proper to not use it without consideration of their wishes. And unfortunately, in this economy, people are expected to earn a living, most of us. If you're not retired, disabled, or independently wealthy, you're expected to work for a living in this place. And these people who are doing these projects, movies, music, software. They have bills to pay, and you're taking food out of their mouths when you copy something that doesn't belong to you without their consent. So the question becomes one of fair use, because unfortunately in the same economy we have an expectation that people must use certain tools to do certain jobs. So it gets a little bit complicated. Understand that if your job requires you to use something like Adobe Photoshop or whatever that is proprietary and has a price tag on it, you cannot necessarily be expected to just, not pay your own bills because it's unavailable. There's a barrier to entry there that is also unfair. And, really looking closely at this problem, it's a problem of the economy, a problem of being expected to earn a living unfairly. That's the problem. You're either screwing the people who are trying to get into the business, or you're screwing the people who are already in the business. Unfortunately, capitalism as we use it makes enemies of neighbors. That's what it boils down to. That's the problem. You are in competition with and at odds with other businesses and your own neighbors. And there's no other way around it, unfortunately. So really the solution in conclusion is subsidies for basic needs, right? Not just for people, individuals, but for businesses as well. Core businesses, essential businesses. This might sound familiar. The things that give you food, shelter, and clothing, internet, electricity, clean water, and all that stuff that you need to get by. Just the basics, right? Nothing fancy. You got to earn that. You still got to work really hard to get that stuff. If you want something nice, you want a big, nice TV or a boat or something, you need to earn that stuff. Nobody's going to hand that to you. And it works out just fine because suddenly you're able to choose to work, and then you can, own the job versus renting a space in somebody's company and extending the boss demon, if you will. That's not for me. But if you can own your time and take something out of it, decide your own level of responsibility, choose your level of involvement. Doesn't that sound right? It should sound pretty good. So I hope everybody has a great day. Reach out with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com, and try not to steal stuff. Nobody likes that. Be respectful of people's advertised wishes if you can. Thank you.